Namaste, welcome to Pythagoras Academy. Many students have this misconception that average is sum of things by number of things. And it doesn't work that way. That is not the meaning of average. Especially when we are dealing with the physical quantities like average speed, average velocity, you should understand clearly what is the meaning of the word average. Let us start our discussion with average speed. Speed is a physical quantity which is used to describe how fast a particle is tracing its path. For example, if I say speed of a bike is 30 km per hour, it is moving so fast that it could cover a distance of 30 km in 1 hour. If I say 40 km per hour, it is able to cover a distance of 40 km in 1 hour. So speed describes how fast a particle is moving. Now, for example, consider a point A and another point B. Say a person has moved from A to B. The entire distance is, for example, 100 km, and the time taken is 2 hours. And this is the path that the person has chosen to move from A to B. The length of the actual path traced by the person, that is known as distance. So basically, the distance traveled by the person is 100 km. So when we are talking about speed, speed is something which is associated with distance. We don't have to bother about the physical quantity displacement when we are talking about speed. So speed is a scalar. It doesn't have any direction. It has only magnitude. Whenever we are talking about speed, we just have to define it with magnitude. It is not necessary to talk about the direction of that particular quantity. There is no direction defined for speed. Anyhow, so a person has moved from A to B by traveling a distance of 100 kilometers in 2 hours. Now, what is the average speed? Understand the meaning of average. Say he started from this point A, say he moved very fast till C, and from C to D he moved slow. At D, he took rest for some time, then it moved to E and E to B very fast. So the person is changing his speed continuously at every point throughout his journey. So when the person is changing his speed everything at every point, we can calculate the average value. If something is changing, we find the average. It means had it been constant instead of changing, what is that value which gives the same effect? I repeat, average is had it been constant instead of changing, what is that value which gives the same effect? Had the person moved from A to B at constant speed, what is that value? So that he could have covered same 100 kilometers distance in the same time 2 hours. That is the meaning of average speed. See, you cannot take like at point A he has got some 30 kmph, at point C he has got 40 kmph, then at D he has got 0. Because he is not moving, he stopped for a while. At E again 20. There are 4 values that you know you are not supposed to do this. This is not the meaning of average. You tend to think like this because you are pretty much used to your average marks in school. Suppose you get 40 marks in one subject and 30 in another subject, and 80 in one subject and 20 in one subject. Out of 100, for example, there are 4 subjects. Then what is the average score? Again, apply the definition of average. You got different scores in each subject. Had you got same score in every subject, what is that value that gives the same total? So what is total here? So 40 plus 30, that is 70. 70 plus 80 plus 20, that is 100. 170. So let that common score in each subject be X. So add up all the values. So it will be 4 times X. So what is that X? Such that 4 times X is giving you 170. So this is X is equal to 170 by 4. So it is 4 fours and 4 ones, 4 fives, 41.5. So 41.5, had you got 41.5 in each subject, you would have still ended up with the total of 170. That is the meaning of your average score. So this is sum of things by number of things that you got by definition of average. This is not the formula that you can apply everywhere. Because this is discrete data, there are only 4 values. You are able to find the average of these 4 values by this equation. But when it comes to speed, there are infinite values of speed from A to B, because every microsecond the speed is changing. Continuously something is changing. It is not discrete data that we have. So let us apply the definition of average here. So what is the definition of average? Had the person moved with constant speed, what is that value? So that he could have covered the same 100 kilometers in 2 hours. So let that speed be V average. So that is as simple as this: total distance by total time. So total distance is 100 kilometers by 2 hours, which is 50 kilometers per hour. Had he moved at constant speed of 50 kmph, instead of changing his speed at every point, instead of moving fast, slow, stopping, had he moved at the constant rate of 50 kilometers per hour, he could have covered 50 meters in 1 hour and 100 kilometers in 2 hours. He will still be at point B. That is the meaning of this. So in this particular example, V average is 100 by 2, if it is 50 kmph. This is the meaning of average speed. Similarly, what is instantaneous speed? Instantaneous speed, or simply speed. When you're riding a bike, it has got a speedometer and there's a pointer, and now you have this digital speedometers where it is showing you some reading. That is the instantaneous speed, the speed at that particular point of time. So when you are seeing that speedometer, it gives you the instantaneous value of speed at that instant. As the name suggests, instantaneous is the speed at that instant. We simply call it speed. Every time we don't have to use the word instantaneous. So instantaneous is speed at particular instant of time. Suppose at point C, if I am interested to find out the instantaneous speed, so what do I have to do is say, I'm zooming that part. Let me say this is point C. It is like I have to take the snapshot of this motion at this particular point of time C, when it is at C. Now even when you take the snapshot, there is some little bit of time elapsed, a few microseconds or few milliseconds. In that time, by the time you take the snapshot, it is already here by covering a distance of delta S. So this is a very short interval of time that is elapsed by the time you take the snapshot. Delta T, very small interval of time. In that duration, it has covered a distance of delta S. The average speed in that small interval of time is total distance by total time, that is delta S by delta T. So in order to find the instantaneous speed of a particle at a particular instant of time, again we have to use the concept of average. So take a very short interval delta T. This is the average. So this average value becomes instantaneous when delta T tends to 0. I'll apply this mathematical operator, which is limit delta T tends to 0. So delta T, if the time is as small as 0, as the time elapsed is approaching 0, the average becomes instantaneous, that is simply V. So V is limit delta T tends to 0, delta S by delta T. This is the whole concept of differentiation in mathematics, which is ds by dt. Small change in distance, a small distance for the small change in time dt. This is ds by dt. So basically, the instantaneous speed is rate of change of distance with respect to time. Rate of change of distance with respect to time. So instantaneous speed is ds by dt, and average speed is simply total distance by total time. So this is how you find the average of anything. In the next video, I'll talk about the concept of average velocity and instantaneous velocity. Thank you so much.